Hello and welcome to Week 6. In Class 1, Week 6, we look at the environmental challenges each city faces. New York and LA each have specific problems, vulnerabilities and challenges. New York's, dramatized by the 2012 Hurricane Sandy, is flood protection. New York's waterfront location, like many global cities, has been the foundation of its commercial success historically. Still, 4 of New York's 5 boroughs are located on islands. Only the Bronx is part of the mainland. And New York City currently ranks number 5 among 140 port cities around the world in terms of susceptibility to storm surges. And New York's future as a major global city is in doubt without any new protective measures. Cities such as London, Rotterdam, Amsterdam and Tokyo have all built storm barriers, levees and storm walls, and New York clearly has to follow suit. LA's major challenge is of course earthquake protection.
Mayor Garcetti has his Plan LA with a 2015-16 update, and both of these I put on the class website for to use as a reference.
As he points out, LA is the 3rd most at-risk city in the world when it comes to seismic activity. LA's water shortage, like that of California's, is serious but solvable. And again, Garcetti has been aggressive here in seeking solutions, as in the measure to pay residents with lawns $3.75 per square foot to replace their lawns with plants that require almost no water. Garcetti reckons that in this way that the city of LA alone can meet 50% of Governor Brown's lawn water reduction target for the entire state of California. Also, agriculture accounts for 80% of the water used by humans in California, but only produces 2% of the state's gross product and only employs 3% of its workers. So there's plenty of room for water savings in agriculture. With products like almonds, each almond requires a gallon of water, leading the way. Still, right now it's cities like LA that are taking the lead in water reduction. And anyway, for LA the big issue is earthquake protection, which is harder and more expensive to solve, while water reduction is easier to accomplish.
Of course, California and LA's recent wildfires are also a major problem, and I've included 2 articles on the fires in the reading. Obviously, one issue is how far these fires are connected to global warming.
In Class 2, we'll look at urban economics, including urban innovation, looking at the case study of Uber. In addition, we'll look at the very important topic of global cities.
The discussion topic for this week asks you, supposing you're mayor of New York or LA or both, which 2 projects for greening the city would you make your priority and why? You may choose 2 projects in one of those cities or 1 project in each city. Also, you should post by next Sunday your 1-paragraph outline of your research project. In the research project guide, we say the outline is due earlier by this Monday, February 11th. But we decided to extend the due date to next Sunday, February 17th. We enjoyed hearing your thoughts on the rural-urban divide. Yuan's first pick is Sargsian Alina, who writes, presidential candidates can appeal to both rural and urban voters by focusing on creating more jobs, immigration policies, and national security. The divide between these 3 issues has decreased amongst Democratic and Republican voters. In this way, presidential candidates will reach out to rural voters without alienating voters in urban areas. In his book, The New Minority, Justin Guest states how the, quote, new minority are working-class white individuals that share a collective consciousness of being disadvantaged from socioeconomic classes. Yuan's second pick is Kim Sharon, who writes, Thomas Frank mentions how peculiar it is that the poorest working-class American rural counties remain extremely conservative even when not served well by the Republican Party economically. Also, the people of rural areas have the populist belief that Democrats are just elites who can't represent the common people of America. Frank's solution is that Democrats should essentially enlighten the followers of the Republican Party. But this would just strain the 2 parties further because the rural residents would have an intensified impression of Democrats as know-it-alls. Emily Badger quotes Lasseter, the political identities that move to the fore are not Republican or Democratic or conservative or liberal. They're homeowner, taxpayer, and school parent. Juan's first pick is Fatima Rodriguez, who writes, if future presidential candidates want to reach out to rural voters, they must propose policies that help address the major issues in these areas, that is, unemployment and declining wages. Those are issues that are of much importance to those voters that live in these cities and urban areas, so they wouldn't be alienating these voters. Overall, future presidential candidates need to find the major issues that concern all types of areas equally, whether that's education, employment, or wages. One's second pick is Cambria Clark, who writes, "The gap could potentially be closed through presidential candidates paying closer attention to the farmers in rural communities. This wouldn't alienate the urban communities either, because it could be advertised that without proper care to these agricultural issues in rural areas, urban areas wouldn't have the fresh produce that they love. Another way of rebranding could be just being more specific. For instance, when discussing the funding of Planned Parenthood to rural communities, they could emphasize that these clinics are used to screen women for cancer, instead of emphasizing abortions."